So I want to tell a funny story I learned about Robert Redford and Paul Newman. When they were getting ready to make Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, uh, they were considering Robert Redford for the place of Butch Cassidy. And so George, nobody really knew who Robert Redford was to speak of, especially compared to Paul Newman. So George Roy Hill, the producer of the movie, met with Robert Redford at some place in New York City, and they were having a drink and they were talking. And uh, he told him, he said, no, I'm fighting an uphill battle to have you be a part of this movie because everybody else is against me. And he asked him what he thought about the part. And Robert Redford said, well, really, I think that the Sundance Kid fits me better than Butch Cassidy. And so the original title of the movie was The Sundance Kid and Butch Cassidy. And so he thought about it a while and he said, yeah, I think you're right. And so then Robert Redford met Paul Newman for the first time. They didn't know each other. And they talked, and Paul Newman said, yeah, I think you'd be great for that, Robert. And so they changed the name of the movie from The Sundance Kid and Butch Cassidy to Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And so they became good friends, and I heard him telling some more things about it, but it was just really funny how that came about. And so fast forward quite a few years, and Paul Newman got interested in racing because Robert Redford liked fast cars. And Robert Redford said, I could never get him to shut up about it. He said, I got tired of hearing him talk about racing. So they kind of had this friendly back and forth, and they both owned a home somewhere in Connecticut. And Robert Redford, in order to get back at Paul Newman for being so obsessed about cars, went to this local junkyard or called a local junkyard and asked them, did they have a crushed Porsche? And that's what Robert Redford was driving when Paul Newman got interested in racing, because he was riding in Robert Redford's Porsche, I think a 901, but I'm not sure. And so they had one that was crushed. He said it was flat as a flitter. He said, I want you to wrap it in paper, put a big bow on it, and take it to Paul Newman's house and put it on his porch. And so Robert Redford said, I wasn't around for a couple of weeks. And when I came back into town, I called and asked the guys, did they take it? And they said, yeah, we took it and left it on the back porch, just like you told us to. And Robert Redford said Paul Newman never had said anything to him about it. Well, fast forward a few more days, Robert Redford came through his door at the house in Connecticut, and there was this great big wooden box sitting inside his door. And it was, when he finally got it open, it was this huge chunk of metal. And so Robert Redford said, well, I know what I'll do. So he called up a sculptor friend and he asked him, would he sculpt something out of metal for him? And so he said, I want it sculpted into a garden piece. And the guy did. And then he had the same guys from the junk place take that. And he said, put it in Paul Newman's garden as a garden piece. And he said that neither one of them ever said anything to the other about any of that. It was never mentioned by either one of them. I thought that was pretty hilarious.